Hi everyone, welcome back to another gameplay of Infinitode 2. So welcome to the third and possibly final part of my analysis and statistics video where I'm comparing loot frequency against loot rarity and the two main strategies that different players have in the game to progress through prestige research. And now the two main strategies are going to be, well, the first one where you just go for loot frequency and you try to max loot frequency right away. You don't really upgrade loot rarity higher than level 10. Instead, the second strategy argues that after you reach loot frequency level 40 and loot rarity level 20, you go for loot rarity until you reach it level 60, and only afterwards you go for loot frequency. And these are the two main strategies that I've seen players using on prestige. Now there are also some minor ones. For example, people arguing that loot rarity up to level 20 and then you go for loot frequency. So not level 10 but level 20. And I've seen also players arguing sometimes level 25 or even level 30, but not higher than that. So not going until like level 60, but then leaving it level 25 or 30 and then going for loot frequency. I haven't done any tasks with considering that so far, but I'm gonna show you my results here based on the two main strategies I discussed before. So this is the table that you guys are probably familiar with. I have done two live streams where I just showed each of these milestones right here, each comparison. So each comparison here is made considering the fact that on the top part you have the strategy in which you just upgrade your frequency, as you can see here. So just upgrade your frequency until you get it up to level 100, as you can see here. All right. On the bottom part, instead, we have the second strategy in which you upgrade both loot frequency and loot rarity until you have 40 and 20. Then you go for loot rarity, as you can see here, until you reach level 60, and then you upgrade loot frequency. And I've listed down the results, with the actual numbers of the loot I was able to obtain. Take a look at the biddes, even though remember the biddes are not important for prestige. So you're not going to be able to progress through the prestige research faster if you get a lot of biddes. You're going to be able to afford maybe to upgrade your towers a bit more, to upgrade your mining speed, your modifiers, or your general stats a bit more, but that's not going to be in any way affecting the amount of prestige tickets you can obtain when selling custom maps or the amount of loot you get. And then I considered the 5 different types of loot that we can obtain in the game. So legendary, epic, very rare, rare, and common. Now the loot counter, as you can see here, it's only tiles, chests, keys, platforms, and sources. So anything that can be placed or is gonna give us things that are gonna be placeable on custom maps and therefore to be sold for prestige tickets. I'm not counting, as you can see here, cores. I'm not counting tickets, and I'm not counting blueprints, so special blueprints. And then you can see here the actual options. Max, research was max, loot and rarity tickets active, starting from loot frequency rarity level 10 each, placing the minor, so inferior at 10, and then finishing at 12 minutes in terms of in-game time with double gain. Yeah, you can see that each of these milestones represents using spending between 13,000 to 16.5 thousand prestige tickets. So each milestone is roughly the same cost that you would get to get, for example, loot frequency level 39 and loot rarity 10 is the same amount of tickets you would get to get loot frequency 34 and loot rarity level 17. All right, so each of these milestones is made in this way, all the way until you get loot frequency maxed. You can see that here there is no comparison because of the fact that at this stage, once you get past level 95 or loot frequency, you start earning a ton of loot. So that's why if you are a promoter of the second strategy, you should always reset using accelerators. You should reset loot rarity. You should spend all those tickets that you get back to max loot frequency. So that's why there is only one comparison up here, and you can actually see the actual numbers. Like look the increase, like from level 94 to level 97. And in terms of biddes, more than double, legendary items doubled, epic items more than double, very rare items, yeah, more than double, and then rare items almost tripled, and common in this case very low. because of loot rarity level 10, but yeah, you can see the huge spike, and you can see at level 100 once again an extra spike. It's not as high as this one, but still, you know, pretty decent. You can see here thousands and thousands of loot. So yeah, that's pretty much the comparison. I wanted to record each of the tasks I've done here for each level, so in that way you guys can see that these numbers are real. Like, I'm not making up these numbers. I'm not asking you to trust me on my word on these numbers, but you can actually check them out. You can see for yourself if these numbers correspond to the truth. So in that way, you know, it's more accurate and it's more reliable what I'm doing with these tasks. So that's why I did the live streams, you know. And then that's it. So yeah, I've marked here within the red, as you can see, 3 main thresholds that are very interesting. Now, in this first threshold, you can see that is slightly after the point when you reach loot frequency level 40 and loot rarity level 20, and therefore you start upgrading loot rarity. And this is the point where, like, if you compare to the previous one, you stop earning rare items. So you start getting no common and no rare items. You only gain rare, epic, and legendary, plus of course bidders. All right. Instead, on the opposite, you know, an equivalent strategy, but in this case only upgrading loot frequency, you can see that you're still earning rare items. You're earning all the different items other than common. So I've done this threshold right here as you know, the first point that we're gonna take a look at. Then this one as the second one, and once again for the same reason, you can see that the very rare items start decreasing after loot rarity level 20, and they progressively get lower and lower until eventually you reach 0. So after loot rarity gets past level 40, you get 0 very rare items. So only epic and legendary plus bidders. And in this case, the equivalent with the loot frequency strategy would be 6210. And then you can see here, well, what happens, you know, each time that you will get the levels upgraded, we're using the second strategy or using the first one. And you can see that in the first one, you still keep earning all the different kind of items, you know, considering RNG, the fact that sometimes you get more items, more bidders, sometimes you get less, it's just RNG. But you can see that steadily the numbers keep on increasing. So see here, like the numbers for legendary, for bidders, for epic, for rare, and for rare, they keep on increasing, you know, talking, you know, meanly. On the second run instead, on the second strategy, you can see only legendary, epic, and bidders. And I saw like a huge spike here. Like if you compare here, we're going with 300, 400, 300, and then here almost 700. So there is a huge spike like between these two levels here in terms of bidders gained. But you can see that in terms of legendary items, there isn't that much spike. Like yes, they keep on increasing as well, slowly, but yeah, there isn't like the huge spike or huge difference, right? And as well, you can see that the closer you get to loot rarity level 60, the less epic items you get. They get reduced and reduced and reduced, and then it's a little bit of RNG. So we're moving around 50, I would say. Sometimes it's higher than 50, sometimes it's lower. But yeah, it's pretty much like that. And then finally, this is the last level I analyzed because of the fact that it's the turning point, right? After this stage, as I said before, you should always reset loot rarity because you're gonna get loot frequency past level 95, so you're gonna get a ton of loot. And even if you compare like this one with this one, right? Even if we suppose we would add like 4 more levels to loot frequency, so like it would be 6960, but still like the comparison here is just like, look at this, just on legendary it's like 300 more items on legendary only. Then here epic is 1400, this one's just 51. Look at the very rare items. So in terms of, you know, value of a loot, it's just insanely higher, always resetting and going for loot frequency. Now what I did on these 3 levels is something that I hope you guys are gonna find interesting. So what I did was I went to this my stage here, right? I went to the resources and I sold everything. I didn't have any chance, anything, right? I sold everything. I sold all the platforms and every single customer item. Like I sold literally everything, all right? And then I did a run comparing the two ones, right? So in this case, for example, I did one run with 4910 And then after I did that run, I went here, I created a cast map, and I only place on the cast map those items that I earned from that stage, right? Because I had sold everything beforehand, I had everything from scratch. So all the items that I got were the ones I got from doing the test on that level. And therefore what I did, I placed everything. So I placed every single platform before actually doing the cast map. I always went here and opened the chests and the keys that I eventually got. I opened all the tiles. I crafted here the platforms. I crafted from the minor ones to the best ones. And after that, that's when I created the cast map, right? I went here and then I simply placed all the tiles and everything that I had collected. All the platforms, all the roads, all these items here, even barriers, all the miners, all the portals, all the bases, everything. So even if you place like multiple bases like this one, you can play, but it doesn't matter because I only looked here at this price. This was the number I was looking at because I was trying to see which was the map price value considering all the loot I would get. And I also placed the music tiles. So I did that, all right? And that's how I reached, if we go back to the table, this amount that you can see right here. All right, that's what I did. So this number here is coming from that run with that particular strategy I did. And then I simply repeated the same, but using the other strategy. So the equivalent strategy in terms of prestige tickets spent, but going with the other strategy of going with both loot frequency and loot rarity. And you can see that here, looking at the results, is very interesting because the second strategy is actually better than the first one. You can see that in terms of map price, with the second strategy, you get up to 723.1 thousand in terms of map price value. With the first strategy, only like 600,000. So the second strategy early on is better. You would get more prestige tickets by selling everything rather than with the second strategy than with the first one. All right, because these numbers here speak clearly. And that was very interesting because you can see that the loot frequency difference is not that much. Like there are only 9 levels of loot frequency difference. Here 49, here 40. Instead, in terms of loot rarity, is a lot higher. There are 14 levels of difference from level 10 to level 24. And yeah, so those were the results. These are the numbers, and I'm gonna leave you guys with all the thinking, about that. And then I did the same here for the other thresholds. So I did the same for this point right here, when you start earning no more very rare items on the second run. And then I did the same for the very last point, before you should reset. And what I found is that actually then the things change. The first strategy becomes more valuable. Like if you sell all the items that you get a higher map price value than with the second strategy. And remember, this is equivalent in terms of prestige tickets used. So you would need the same amount of tickets to get loot frequency level 62 and loot rarity level 10 than to get loot frequency level 40 and loot rarity level 42. All right. But you can see that now it's much higher. Like it's almost opposite. So what happens here, right, is almost opposite what happens right there. Now if we just look barely at the numbers, of course these numbers were slightly different from the ones I got from doing the strategy. But if we just compare, bid deaths are going to be like that, so higher on the second strategy, but as we said before, bid deaths are not useful to gain prestige tickets, right? Then we compare legendary. You can see here 93 against 144, so definitely more legendary items on the second strategy. Then if we compare epic against epic, once again the second strategy has higher numbers, not that by that much, but still higher. And then, then the first strategy you're still earning very rare items, in the second one you don't. Then you're still earning rare items, on the second you're not, and then no common for both. So it's very interesting to see that despite the fact that you get slightly more legendary stuff, so legendary loot and epic loot on the second strategy, but all the extra very rare and rare items that you collect from this first run actually is what makes the difference right here. And you get more value. So you would get more prestige tickets with the first strategy than with the second. And then I did the very last point here, and you can see that here the difference is even larger. Like the first strategy clearly wins over the second one by a large margin. You can see here 2.4 million map price, on the second one only 1.4 million. So that's like 1 million map price of difference. Like here is 150,000, here it becomes 1 million. So we could argue that from this point right here to this one, like it just gets worse. Like the first strategy becomes better and better and better and better than the second one, like the more you go on. And remember, this is level 94, so it's not even level 95 where you get the huge bonus in terms of, you know, loot and all that stuff. So yeah, you know, it's very interesting to notice this, and this arises more questions that I will try to answer, you know, maybe some future videos. That is especially, you know, between these two thresholds, because like here the second strategy wins, but here the first strategy wins. So what happens between these 2 points that make the first strategy like start being better than the second one? Like what is the point, like which is the stage in which the difference in terms of loot frequency here becomes so relevant that even if you get lower tier items, that still is more to get like more prestige tickets, so you end up getting more value out of the loot. So yeah, I'm gonna probably run more and additional tasks, because especially here it's very interesting to see that we're going from loot frequency level 24 to loot frequency level 42. So something happens here, like after loot frequency gets higher than 25 or 30, that makes it worse compared to, you know, loot frequency that increases from level 49 to level 62. So yeah, that's gonna be, you know, discussion and probably a video for another time. So yeah, that was it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna post and I'm gonna probably release this a sheet on the official Discord server very soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. See ya. Bye bye.